Top stories. Government official responds to unplanned release of SCASPA document prescribing entry requirements to its facilities. Man arrested for armed robbery in Nevis. And U.S. President orders investigation in the origins of COVID-19. Hi, I'm Abby Diskin. Welcome to the SKN Newsline newscast. Government official responds to unplanned release of SCASPA document prescribing entry requirements to its facilities. SKN Newsline's Glenn Bart reports.
Attorney General Vincent Byron said persons should ignore a circulating document on social media that outlined COVID-19 requirements to enter the ports of the St. Christopher Air and Seaports Authority, SCASPA. According to Attorney General Byron, the document was inadvertently published and no decision had been taken by Cabinet to change operational requirements at the ports. The document indicated that as of 1 June 2021, anyone entering SCASPA's port premises to do business or access services must present proof of having been vaccinated. Continuing, the document advised that persons who would not or could not take the available AstraZeneca vaccine, proof of a negative RT-PCR test must be presented to enter the ports. The test, the document stated, must have been taken within 14 days of its presentation. According to the document, this decision was taken to prevent transmission of the COVID-19 virus to employees on the Port Authority's premises as health authorities attempt to curb the spread of COVID-19 in communities. SKN Newsline sought clarification on the authenticity of the document and its implications during the 26 May NEOC COVID-19 briefing. Attorney General Vincent Byron responded.
This document was brought to the attention of the government, and I would say that it had been inadvertently published. At this point in time, the Cabinet has given no such consideration or decision. And so we would want to say that until such time as the Cabinet has issued or supported such a decision, we would hope that this document would be disregarded at this time.
As is, the implementation of the requirements of the published document would have adversely affected ferry services between the islands of St. Kitts and Nevis. Glenn Bart reporting for SKN Newsline.
A man has been arrested and charged for 2 robbery incidents on Nevis. SKN Newsline's Andre Huey reports.
37-year-old Kentron Springett of Stony Grove has been charged for the offense of robbery. On May 25th, Springett was charged on 2 warrants in the first instance for the offenses of robbery which took place on May 17th, 2021 in Charlestown, and 1 warrant in the first instance for the offense of robbery which took place on May 20th, also in Charlestown. This is the surveillance video of the May 20th incident which occurred at a service station in Charlestown. I'm Andre Huey for SKN Newsline. Elliott's Funeral Parlor is the first licensed embalmer in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. We have a friendly and professional staff. At Elliott's Funeral Parlor, we offer a wide range of packages from $6,500, homegoing service at chapel, locally made caskets, tailoring of outfit for deceased of your choice, wake, overnight with slideshow, funeral, death announcement, obituary, booklets, family pin-ons, memorial books, preparation of funeral arrangements, wreath, fresh and artificial. For further information, call 469-3298, 664-2007, or 660-0186. Elliott's Funeral Parlor in Gingerland, Nevis. Dedicated to those we serve.
I eat some veggies for dinner. Let me just check the amount of sodium in this can. Oh no, this is too much. Let me try our next option. They did say it's healthy to consume less salt. This is much better. I am them sound smart.
Football is back, and the St. Kitts and Nevis Football Association will be bringing you live football on its website, www.sknfa.com, with Premier League Live. Without fans in the stadium due to COVID-19 protocols, you can now watch every single Premier League match this season on www.sknfa.com and click on Live TV. Games are shown live on every match day with halftime and post-game shows. It's Premier League Live. Commentary, analysis, action. Never miss a game.
Bless up, Dejo here, and I'm doing my part in the fight against COVID-19 by following all safety protocols and, most importantly, rolling up my sleeve for the vaccine. So I'm encouraging you to do the same, because that's our best shot of protecting ourselves, our family, and our friends. So don't wait, vaccinate. Let's roll up to roll out.
Autoplus Car Wash, located on the College Street Gut, Bastyr, St. Kitts. Bring your car to Autoplus Car Wash to remove water stains, wiper marks. Get your doors, roof panel cleaned, seat floor mats, buffing, headlights, and engine wash. You get quality service at the best price at Autoplus Car Wash. They really care for your car. Call 765-5140 or visit them on the College Street Gut, Bastyr, St. Kitts. Autoplus Car Wash, where the service is number one.
Welcome back. A COVID-19 task force official announced special assistance for persons placed under quarantine as health officials fight community outbreak on St. Kitts. Glenn Bart tells us more.
Persons who have been placed in quarantine are to receive support, said Abdia Samuel, head of the National COVID-19 Task Force. Speaking at a recent NEOC briefing late May, Chairman Samuel said a special committee, headed by the Ministry of Social Development and Gender Affairs, was set up to carry out needs assessments.
Recognizing that persons and households would have been placed in quarantine without an opportunity to purchase or prepare sufficient food or other basic supplies, a decision has therefore been taken by the government to provide care packages for such families who are in need. These small but meaningful packages are geared towards ensuring that basic nutritional and health needs are met while remaining at their homes or hotel rooms during their quarantine period. A special committee chaired by the Ministry of Social Development and Gender Affairs has been established to primarily address needs assessment and distribution of care packages.
The assistance comes as health officials work to contain community outbreak of COVID-19 through intensive contact tracing and other containment strategies. Glenn Bart reporting for SKN Newsline.
The Caribbean Examination Council has postponed regional exams by 2 weeks due to effects to the education system across the region as a result of COVID-19. Andre Huey reports.
The Caribbean Examinations Council on Wednesday announced that it has postponed all upcoming examinations by 2 weeks after being engaged in regional consultations. The announcement was made by Dr. Wayne Wesley, CXC Registrar, in a virtual press conference on Wednesday.
Council approved the delay of the sitting of the regional examinations by a further 2 weeks. This will provide candidates with extra time to prepare for the examinations. Therefore, examinations will commence on Thursday, the 28th of June, 2021, with release of results the last week in September to the first week in October, as previously communicated.
He told reporters that after careful deliberation and consideration of all the pertinent issues, the council, which is made up of the governments of the region, also agreed that the administration of all papers will be maintained.
To maintain the administration of all papers, CXC will administer the Caribbean Advanced Proficiency Examination, CAPE, the Caribbean Secondary Examination Certificate, CSEC, and the Caribbean Certificate of Secondary Level Competence, CCSLC, examinations in their original format. That is, for CAPE and CSEC, papers 1, 2, and 3-1 school-based assessment, or paper 3-2 for private candidates, and for CCSLC, papers 1 and 2.
Students now have until May 31st to defer sitting the 2021 examination. In addition, the deadline for candidates to register their intent to defer has been extended to May 31st, and SBA submissions have also been extended to June 30th. Earlier this week, the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, urged CXC to delay the start of the external examinations by 3 weeks and to simplify the content and methodology. This due to the disruption to the education system across the Caribbean as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm Andre Huey reporting for SKN Newsline.
When we come back, we look back at the West Kingston incursion in Jamaica 11 years later.
The SKN Newsline website now offers you more news. Log on to www.sknnewsline.com for local, regional, and international news. You can also watch the latest newscast and keep abreast with news in sports, all from sknnewsline.com. That's www.sknnewsline.com. News at your fingertips.
You know, it's me, Mr. HE, and I'm here with one message. Roll up to roll out. We all know how difficult things have been during this COVID-19 pandemic. While we continue to wash our hands, wear a face mask, and practice social distancing, how about we take it one step further and get vaccinated? Call the nearest health center to find out if you are eligible to be vaccinated. Or you can contact the Ministry of Health at any one of these numbers down below. Don't be discouraged by the negativity. We all have a role to play in protecting this federation. So, St. Kitts and Nevis, let's roll up to roll out.
Stay abreast with news on St. Martin with SMN News. Visit www.smn-news.com for up-to-date news, scoops, opinions, and hard-hitting facts. SMN News, we tell it like it is. Visit our website www.smn-news.com.
It's the new and improved SKN Newsline Android mobile app. With the SKN Newsline app, you can watch your news reports, the SKN Newsline newscast, sports, special features, and so much more. You can also send us a WhatsApp or call us directly. Go in the Google Play Store, search SKN Newsline, and download the app today. The SKN Newsline mobile app. News on the go.
Junior, can you get popcorn, please? Don't tell Def. Want some to please? I can get some salt. More, please. Boy, take a pack from Junie.
Welcome back. We now turn our attention to the regional news. This week marks 11 years since the security forces in Jamaica engaged in the Tivoli Gardens incursion to capture wanted drug lord Christopher Coke. But that incursion led to the death of many residents of the community following 3 intense days of gun battle. Residents say in trying to overcome the trauma, they are constantly reminded of the horror with the bullet-riddled buildings that have not been repaired. CVM TV reports.
It may seem like a regular day for many, but for those living in Tivoli Gardens, May 25 is horrifying. It would have been the day that residents were finally able to come outside.
When we actually had the opportunity to go outdoors, there was the smell of blood everywhere you went. Smell of blood, you could smell like bodies that were partially being decayed. And then, there was the constant cry from family members of people who have lost their loved ones.
11 years on, and residents say they're still traumatized.
As it related to trauma, there was no external support. Even our buildings are still unrepaired. They are still ill-repaired. They are still in a very bad condition. We would have really wanted the government to step in and do something much more than just saying that there is some money to be given out.
The residents say the beauty in their community's skyline has been damaged by the impact of the 2010 Tivoli Gardens incursion. The bullet-riddled towers, concrete bursting from the impacts of warhead, tell the haunting story of what took place, the pain endured, and the trauma that many have yet to overcome.
According to residents, some buildings in and around the community center were recently fixed, but they say it was all to accommodate former Prime Minister and Tivoli's former Member of Parliament Edward Seaga's body to lay in state there. This little girl pointed out the bullet holes in the towers close to where she lives. She wasn't born yet, but she's heard the stories. Residents say their children are already victims of the incursion and fear they'll be stigmatized because of where they live. Jamila Maitland for CVM Live.
Education officials in St. Lucia held a stakeholder consultation to address the recent rise in attacks on secondary school students. 5 students of the Leon Hess Comprehensive School were recently assaulted and robbed by bandits in the capital city in the span of 1 week.
Is your child safe on their way to and from school? A recent spate of attacks and robberies on secondary school students of the Leon Hess Comprehensive Secondary School elicited a high-level multi-sectorial meeting of stakeholders to discuss and strategize a way to safeguard students from becoming victims of random attacks.
Our main focus will be traffic patrol. We have also identified as to what means that we're going to take in patrolling that area.
Acting Inspector of Police Calixtus Shalmine detailed the difficulties with limited resources while attempting to ramp up patrols.
Sustaining an issue is sustaining that can be a challenge for our department because we are stretched as present, and with the COVID situation, the shift rotation normally puts a strain on the department. We'll do our best to manage that situation at National area.
The president of the National Council on Public Transportation, Godfrey Ferdinand, highlighted the need for the immediate implementation of some of the strategies.
For all the different stakeholders to come together, formulate a plan, and that plan would be to increase security, as well as having the students take the buses instead of walking. And if it requires that the principals and the teachers at least have what you call a PTA meeting to instruct the parents to have their children wait at the school, that would be a better format for us, or should I say solution, because most of these things happen all along the route, not necessarily on the bus stops.
Chief Education Officer Dr. Fiona Philip-Meyer offered her expectations of the results coming out of the engagement with transport and law enforcement officials.
We met with the police, very fruitful meeting, out of which came quite strategic plans to support our students and their well-being. Today we're meeting with the transport services as well as the police are represented. We have our chief transport officer with us. Principals are there as well, because we want to make sure that everybody works together for the good not only of our students, for the wider community.
The high-level meeting provided an opportunity for officials to plan logistics and thrash out ideas on how best to address the attacks on the students of District 3. Solange Alfred, HTS News Force.
Internationally, President Joe Biden has ordered United States intelligence agencies to investigate the origins of COVID-19. He expects them to report back in 3 months. Biden says the intelligence community is divided on whether the virus emerged naturally or whether it escaped a lab in the Chinese city of Wuhan. Al Jazeera reports.
With more than 50% of U.S. adults now vaccinated, President Joe Biden is turning his focus to the origins of COVID-19. He's given his team 90 days to investigate how and where the virus first emerged. Perhaps most controversially, the report will look at whether the virus was leaked from this Chinese lab in Wuhan.
China needed to provide more access to the lab, cooperate more fully with the scientific investigators, and we don't think that they have met that standard.
Once dismissed as a conspiracy theory, now leading scientists say the possibility of a lab leak should not be ignored.
We're hearing about people who work at the Wuhan Institute of Virology becoming sick with an illness. We know that this has been spreading since November. We've seen the Chinese government been very reticent to allow press to investigate the origins of this virus. We know that Wall Street Journal reporters have been detained by police. We know the BBC has been chased out of certain areas where people are looking for the origin. So I think that raises questions.
Back in March, a joint investigation by China and the World Health Organization concluded the probable source of the virus was animal-to-human transmission from a wet market. An accidental lab leak, it said, was highly unlikely. But many governments have criticized the report's credibility. They say access was limited, and the Chinese government withheld data. They argue China's apparent influence on the WHO has tainted the report's validity. China denies the virus leaked from one of its labs, saying its critics are playing politics.
China has been very wary of the fact that people have already judged it. Basically, they want to have a pretend trial before they have the hanging. They've been very reticent about allowing, quote, international groups to come in and, in essence, try to twist what they see are the factual side of this thing.
The Biden administration says knowing the origins of COVID-19 is a matter of global health, a way to stop another pandemic in the future. But the report could have far-reaching consequences that go beyond the health sector. Katia Lopez-Odoyan, Al Jazeera.
Chile has the world's second highest vaccination rate, but infections are still rising rather than falling. Some experts say the Chinese Sinovac vaccine that is being used is not as effective as jabs administered in other parts of the world. Many also blame the government's eagerness to ease lockdown measures. Al Jazeera's Lucia Newman reports from Santiago.
All over Santiago, long lines lead up to new mobile vaccination centers to speed up inoculations, especially for people under 30 who are now eligible. But the motivation for many of those getting their jabs is not just fear of infection.
Health is important, but I also want to get the mobile pass because they say it will let us work and move around freely despite the pandemic.
The mobile pass, or green passport, was implemented this week to allow people who've been fully vaccinated to skip many of the restrictions that apply to everyone else. They include going out whenever you want and traveling to other regions without a police permit, which might explain why Santiago's bus terminal is packed.
In Poland, they're raffling cars to reward those who are fully vaccinated. Here in Chile, it's this mobility pass that's the incentive. But the problem is that the Sinovac Chinese vaccine, which is what's most used in this country, is turning out not to be the silver bullet that many had hoped.
As in Israel, more than 50% of Chileans have been fully inoculated. But unlike in Israel, infections here continue escalating, up 60% in the last 2 weeks here in the capital. The difference, say epidemiologists, is the type of vaccine that's being used in each country.
Sinovac's vaccine is not very effective in eliminating the circulation of the virus. It reduces symptomatic contagion by 50 to 67%, as opposed to, for example, the Pfizer vaccine that has around 95% efficacy in preventing contagion.
The Sinovac vaccine is extremely effective in preventing serious cases of coronavirus, which in turn saves lives. There's also consensus that any vaccine is better than none. And the Chilean government is the only one in Latin America that's been able to acquire enough to inoculate the entire population. But allowing people to move around more freely with the virus still circulating out of control is premature, says the Doctors Guild.
The government must make a really scientific and technical analysis of the measures they are implementing right now. And knowing that most of us are vaccinated with Sinovac, well, we must deal with all the other measures and not a green passport.
That means better social distancing in public transport, using proper face masks, and waiting until almost everyone is vaccinated before testing the waters for greater social mobility. Lucia Newman, Al Jazeera, Santiago.